Okie dokie, I bid you welcome only on the graveyard. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass, live in a living color here with you only on Grande's Graveyard. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are here, we are ready, we are willing, we are able, and we are here to discuss vampires. Because yes, it's tonight, the Vampire Special number 3. Yes, the Vampire Special number 3. Very excited to have y'all here in the house tonight. Of course, we've done 2 Vampire Specials before, and then, of course, we also did the triple threat match Dracula show, where we faced off the 31 Dracula against the Franco Dracula against the Francis Ford Coppola Dracula. So I consider that one of the Vampire Specials too. But if you're going in chronology of what I'm calling these, this is the 3rd Vampire Special here tonight on Grande's Graveyard, and I'm very excited to have everyone in the house because tonight we are covering one vampire movie from the 80s, one vampire movie from the 90s, and one vampire movie that is still actually playing limitedly in theaters, but of course had the wide big run back in December and January. And of course, the 3 movies we'll be reviewing here tonight is first off from 1982, a Section 3 video nasty, and a movie that I consider a big hidden gem in the horror genre. I'm talking about The Black Room. Yes, The Black Room from 1982. That'll be the movie that kicked the show off. Of course, from the year 1992, a decade later, one of my all-time favorite childhood horror movies, a movie that absolutely is a big reason why I became the horror fan that I am today, starring the voluptuous Kristy Swanson and the late Luke Perry. I'm talking about the greatest vampire slayer the world has ever known. I'm talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Buffy the Vampire Slayer from 1992. And lastly, but not leastly, of course, the reimagining, remaking, reimaging, revision, if you want to call it, whatever the hell you want to word it as, from the year 2024 and director Rob Eggers. I'm talking about his version of Nosferatu. Yes, Nosferatu from 2024. 3 vampire movies, Vampire Special number 3, and absolutely no regrets tonight on Grande's Graveyard. So I'm very happy to have everybody in the heezy. Let's get to comments, and then we'll get cooking with some garlic and maybe some garlic cloves and maybe a cross to be held over the goddamn pan and pot, if you will. We have Mateo in the house. Ciao Grande! Ready to sink my teeth into this episode. Hi to the whole Graveyardian chat out there. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mateo, my guest of last week. Ciao Grande and Graveyardian friends, says Miss C. I'm ready to sink my teeth into this special. Yes, you gotta give the bell that goes to your best shot, right? Anthony Chobot is in the house. Hey buddy, how you doing? By the way, I got a girlfriend now, still up to 2008 in my memoirs. Dude, congratulations on the girlfriend. Congratulations on the memoir, man. I finally caught Grande live. Hell yeah, Nate the Great, Grief World is in the house. What's going on, Nate the Great? Hope all is well with you, man. Greetings, everyone. We got D.A. Donovan Alba in the house. What's going on, Donovan? Hope all is well with you. We got Anthony saying, just share this on IG. Thank you so much, Anthony. I appreciate that. We got the Honky Tonk Digital. A Grande, how's it going, man? Dude, it's going pretty good. I'm very excited to talk all things vampires here tonight. We've got 3 vampire movies from 3 different decades, and all 3 of these are pretty damn different movies tonally. I'll say that as well. We've got some S&M, we got some freaking sadomasochistic shit. We have a fun teeny bopper type of horror movie in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, and then a gothic period piece in the Rob Eggers Nosferatu. So we're covering the entire gambit tonight of vampire culture. And I know somebody else is excited to see that, and that would be Triple M, Murgy's Movie Mansion, who just checks in. What is up, Graveyard fam? Just watched Nosferatu today, and I must say, and this is Murgy's favorite word, amazing. Amazing. And I would have to agree with him. So a little bit of a spoiler here of what I think of Nosferatu, but I will spoil, I guess, part of this whole show. I really enjoy all 3 of these movies that we're going to be discussing here tonight. So this is going to be a fun time. As Dominic St. Clair checks in, says, hey, what's going on, Dominic? Hope all is well. We got Dominic. I'm sorry. It's a tongue twister. We got Brittany Ward in the house. Gotta love a nice set of canines. Sub Grande and Graveyard and Grande. Welcome, Brittany Ward. Hope all is well with you, my friend. Absolutely excited to have everybody here tonight. So everybody, cheers to a safe, happy, healthy weekend. If you're having some pizza tonight, you got to have some garlic powder on it because that keeps the vampires away. And a vampire special, you know what, you son of a bitches, you got to always make sure you're watching your damn back. So cheers, everybody. To a safe, happy, healthy weekend. And we're going to kick this show off hot with a hidden gem from the year 1982, a movie that I have absolutely heralded as a hidden gem. I think this is an absolute hidden gem of the horror genre. A movie that kind of blew me away. Of course, Vinegar Syndrome about a year ago released this Blu-ray, and I'm talking about this movie right here. I'm talking about The Black Room. Yes, The Black Room from 1982. We have a brief plot synopsis. A serially unfaithful businessman rents a spare room from two siblings that use for his sexual conquests, unaware that they are murdering every woman he brings there by draining their blood with a transfusion machine. Wow. This absolutely blew me away when I saw this, and I wanted to review this movie, shed a little light on this movie, because I think it's grossly underrated and grossly undersung in the horror genre, and I want to shed a little bit of light on a movie that I consider an underrated horror gem. Now, basically, this is not your classic vampirism type film. This is not your gothic horror piece. This is much more about the horrors of sexuality and the horrors of two different couples on the different end of the spectrum, right? On one hand, you have a married couple who, of course, seem happy. They have two kids. They have a nice little house in Hollywood. And, of course, the husband is starting to feel sexual desire again. He's got everything, but he's still kind of yearning for a little bit of sexual excitement in his life. And there is where he sees an ad in the paper to rent out this room in the Hollywood Hills from this brother and sister. And the room is entitled The Black Room, hence the title of the movie. And he drives up there. He discusses this with the brother and sister. And they say, hey, for $200 a month, you could bring whoever you want to bring here. You can do whatever you want with them. And we encourage it. You know, have a great time. Don't just always enjoy yourself. And of course, our lead character, he's like, this is the answer to all my life problems. This is going to answer everything. This is going to be the solution to my life. As he starts to seduce women and bring them back to this black room where this brother and sister is holding these, I guess, secret ulterior motions, if you will, or ulterior. What the hell? How should I explain that? Ulterior motives, if you will. That's what they're hiding there. And this goddamn movie, man, is so crazy. Like, I love everything about it. To me, it's a really interesting take on the whole modern day vampirism element, because again, it's not your classic vampires with fangs and accents and things like that. This is a brother and a sister that are killing people, and you don't quite know why at the beginning, but as the movie goes on, we learn that the brother has this rare blood disease where he needs fresh blood transfusions from young people in order to stay alive every day. And the way they do it is after, of course, our lead character brings these women over to have sex with him, they drug the wine that these women drink, and then when they wake up, they're tied up to this kind of transfusion blood machine where they're sucking the blood out of them and transfusing it over to the brother so he can stay alive and well. Sort of an interesting curve, twists, left hand, if you will, when it comes to the vampire genre. And that's what I really liked about this movie, was its originality. And of course, you still have classic vampire tropes and themes here. What is one of the number one vampire tropes in all of time? It's sexuality. It's the sexuality in horror that I think vampire movies sometimes shine the brightest light on. And this movie is no exception, all right? Because on one hand, you have this unhappy couple that has it all but doesn't really have anything. And of course, the husband wants that sensationalism that his wife is no longer giving to him. And he even goes as far as telling her about this black room. Hey, I have this black room. No, you don't. And yeah, I do. And he tells her all about it, and she just doesn't believe him. She thinks it's all a fantasy. Until one day when she finds the keys to the actual black room and drives up there herself, and she finds this room. She goes, oh my God, this is not a lie. This is not a joke. He's telling me in a way to get some sort of sensationalism off of it, knowing that I know. And I just think some of the psychology here is just off the charts. And the whole idea of the sadomasochistic sex scenes, which really just kind of took me for a loop and really reminded me of stuff that like Clive Barker would be into. And I really think Clive Barker would be a big fan of this movie here, The Black Room. There's some interesting sex scenes where our lead character, he goes there and seduces the sister of the brother and sister that he's renting the house from. And they have sex, but not just any normal sex. They paint each other up. They're riding each other like Matador and a bull. I mean, it can get a little kinky in this movie. If you like some kinky ass sex scenes, I mean, you look no further than The Black Room. Holy shit. I mean, it goes there. It really does go there. It doesn't hold back at all. It's quite disturbing in how it portrays its sex scenes. And then, of course, what about a little bit of wine afterwards? And this wine kind of knocks you out. And then when you wake up, you're a victim of this couple that are using the blood machine to keep the brother alive. And I really liked the psychology with the couple of the brother and sister as well. Here's a brother and sister that, yes, on page, they are brother and sister, but they're also lovers. There are also some incest going on there, and you can see and sense some boredom in their lives. So what do? While people are having sex in the Black Room, they have this two-way mirror gimmicked where they're taking pictures of it and just saving the pictures just for the fun of it, almost being the ultimate voyeurs and showing the voyeurisms of what it means to be someone who's looking for that sensationalism as well. Really disturbing stuff. As you see, the sister is starting to sort of fall in love with our lead character. She's starting to fall for him, and the brother is getting jealous. And then when the wife comes over to the Black Room, what better vengeance for my man who needs his blood transfusions than to shack up with the guy's wife he's renting the Black Room out to? And we go all across the gambit. I mean, everybody and their mother goes in this Black Room at some point to have sex, including a very young Christopher McDonald, who you may remember from a little movie called Happy Gilmore. He's Shooter McGavin, and you can see him in this movie with a full-on perm. You see Shooter McGavin in this movie as he's one of the guys that the wife takes there to have sex with, and it's fun to see him young. Of course, you also have a young Linnea Quigley, and one of her very first roles. It's definitely one of the first movies you'll ever see Linnea Quigley in, even predating Silent Night, Deadly Night. I mean, it's always awesome to see Linnea Quigley in here as his babysitter. But I really want to shine light on the direction here. Of course, this was a co-directed production, of course, from Ellie Kenner and Norman Thaddeus Vane, respectively. Of course, Ellie was more the guy to work with the actors on psychology and dialogue and kind of coach them throughout what kind of tone that he wanted for the picture. And then, of course, Norman Thaddeus Vane was this playwright who, of course, had all this interesting, fancy new equipment that he wanted to utilize, and he brought his own director of photography on the set. And they utilized a lot of usage of Steadicam in this movie. And of course, Steadicam at this time in the early 1980s was sort of a new thing. I mean, of course, we all remember the Steadicam shots in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. This is one of the movies that follows The Shining that I really kind of see that in too. We see a lot of interesting Steadicam work that gives this movie a sort of floaty, atmospherical, dreamlike quality to it that I thought was just wonderfully done. I really liked it. I mean, they even use it at points where you would never think to use it. There'll be characters walking up the steps and they're using the Steadicam, and it almost feels like you're floating in the room walking up the steps with them. I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was something really interesting that they did here. You also have a scene where one of the victims in the blood transfusion machine, she unhooks herself and makes a run for it. And there's these really interesting shots of, this woman trying to run out of the house and get to help, and these brother and sister kind of trying to surround her and corner her. And they're using Steadicam shot to follow all three, of course, the protagonist and our two antagonists running around this house in the Hollywood Hills. I loved that. I thought the usage of Steadicam here was really good and technically sound, considering the time that this movie was made, right? 1982, that Steadicam really wasn't being used to death. And I just thought, wow, like that was something I did not expect to see in a movie like this. It has a little bit of everything, right? It has the psychology of horror. It has the duality of one couple versus the other, right? One couple where their marriage is crumbling and they'll do anything to save it, including having sex with other people. But on the other hand, this brother and sister will do anything they can to save the brother's life, even if that means harming and killing innocent people. And one of my favorite scenes in this movie is when they're draining one of the victims of her blood and she's still conscious. She's groaning and moaning, and you see the blood coming out of her neck into this kind of blood machine that's spinning around and into the brother's arms. And they are looking at her. And for a minute, they look away. It's like they can't look at the carnage that they are inflicting. They can't look at the horror that they are causing. And to me, I always love that gray area for a villain. Some villains will sometimes, they'll twirl their mustache and pet a kitten and go over the top with it. I don't think that you needed to go that way here. This was a real life brother and sister. They had real life brother and sister issues, right? And they would do anything to keep the brother alive, even if it was something as far as killing an innocent person. And you could see this is not something they're getting off on or enjoying. In fact, it looks like the pure opposite. It looks like they feel sickened by what they've done. And also trope used by Wes Craven in Last House on the Left. Here's these villains that are disgusted in what they did. These are people, right? These are people that we all maybe could have known at some point or another. And I liked that. I liked the absolute realism of that. I thought that was really well done. And of course, as this thing plays out, more and more victims are gathered, including Shooter McGavin does get, if you ever want to see Shooter McGavin get his blood drained, you'll see it in this movie. It all culminates to this point where the brother and sister decide we have to keep them here. And what they decide to do is kidnap the husband and wife's kids at this home in the Hollywood Hills and have this ultimate scheme of draining all four of their blood at the same time because they want even younger blood. And then the whole thing kind of plays out with this big finale. There's some chase scenes. There's some battling. The husband and wife have to sort of work together and say, hey, if we really want to save not just our marriage, but our children and everything that we've worked for to get, we're going to have to get out of this black room. We're going to have to fight. And there's a really fun finale where, blood flies, insanity ensues, and we get what I thought was the coolest thing about this was the over-the-top ending. And what do I mean by that? The sister, spoiler alert, the sister gets stabbed in the throat at one point with like a coat hanger, and she's bleeding and spewing all over the place until she collapses, whereas the brother gets strangled and just kind of passes out. The husband and wife, they grab Linnea Quigley and the kids, they get into the car, and the wife has this kind of cryptic question where she says, do you think people like that ever really die? And he goes, what do you mean? We killed them. What are you asking that for? And she goes, I don't think people like that ever really die. And as they drive away, the husband kind of looks at her puzzled, and we see the brother and sister both kind of start to sit up, Undertaker style, Michael Myers style. They both sort of sit up with blood covered all over their faces. And we get the idea, maybe these weren't just serial killers. Maybe these weren't just, S&M sex lovers. Maybe these weren't just voyeurs. Maybe, just maybe, these really were vampires. And it leaves it up to you. It leaves you up to you, the viewer, if you will. Is the villain, were the villains vampires in the classical sense? Or were they a modern day take on this whole thing? Were they just sickos, right? Who knows? Who knows what brings them back at the end of the movie? But I liked that a little element of, holy shit, is this supernatural? And similar vein to like May at the end where, Adam, he covers that, he starts brushing her hair over her face. What the hell was that? In a movie that otherwise wasn't supernatural, we end with something supernatural to kind of leave the viewer with a question as you leave the screen. I liked that a lot. I think this is a really, really hidden gem in the horror genre. It has a little bit of everything that I like. It has the psychology, the horrors of sexuality, the horrors of a marriage crumbling down, a horrors of a brother and sister that have an unusual and this pretty disgusting love for one another, but will do anything it takes to keep the brother alive, even if that includes murdering people and draining them of their blood in this very unique and creative way. I love The Black Room. I think The Black Room is a really undersung movie. You can get it from Vinegar Syndrome for fairly cheap. I really just like this one. So that is The Black Room from 1982. Let's see what y'all are saying in the comments. Wow, there's a lot of comments. Let me see. I think we were here. Favorite vampire film for me is Vampire's Kiss with Nicolas Cage. Holy shit, Mernzy's going to go crazy for that. I know that's Mernzy's favorite. No John Carpenter's Vampires. Not on this show. I wasn't going to review it, but I do love that movie as well. Long live Cheryl Lee, one of those beautiful women of all time. Mernzy told me about the Bruce Willis cameo after the credits of Nosferatu. Pretty cool hidden scene. Okay. I don't know. Merz has always got something up his sleeve. At first, I thought you said The Black Room from A24. I didn't know that was a vampire film. See, yeah, no, a lot of people, when they think The Black Room, will think of a 1935 movie with Boris Karloff. That's one of the best Boris Karloff movies. But of course, I'm talking about The Video Nasty from 1982. To the Bruce Willis cameo, absolutely worth waiting for the after credits. From Dusk Till Dawn 3, The Hangman's Daughter. Okay. Jinja Ninja's in the house. Hola, my people. Hope you're doing well. Absolutely. Welcome, Jinja. Sounds like something I would watch. It's really good. I think it's a really underrated movie that not enough people have seen, unfortunately. Even though it's not a vampire movie, the movie Vault of Horror does have a vampire story. S&M, I guess you got to keep it spicy. I guess so. I mean, that's what I liked about this movie, is that it's not just one thing. It's not just a vampire movie. It's a drama about a marriage that's crumbling, right? We've seen all these movies where marriages crumble, right? Whether it be Marriage Story. What if we added the horror element on that? What if we added these sadistic serial killers that may or may not just be vampires? I liked that. I thought just something I've never seen before. Cheers, Donovan. It's a lot going on in this movie. Absolutely. Grani just said my favorite words: kinky sex scene. Absolutely, kinky sex scene. What better 3 words? Sorry, all my throat was running dry. From mid-80s to mid-90s, vampire movies went away from sexuality due to the HIV virus. Oh, absolutely. That is a good point. I didn't even think of that. But yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, they really did. I mean, when you look at some of the best vampire movies came out around those times too. I mean, Lost Boys was 87, Fright Night's 85. So many great vampire movies around that time period. Interview with the Vampires, probably 94. I mean, yeah, none of those movies are really dealing with over-the-top gore. They're more about telling stories and colorful characters and things like that. Let's see. S&M sounds like a normal day at the office for me. Much pain involved. Yeah, I mean, there's some crazy shit in this. There's one lady, he hires her to have sex with him, and she's like, oh, you could blindfold me, but it'll cost you more. And he's like, yeah, sure. So he's tying her up and all this stuff, and then he gets a pager that he has to go to work. He says, listen, I'm so sorry. Keep me on the clock. I got to go. I got to leave. And he pushes her down on the bed, and he just kind of leaves her in this room. So she's tied up, and she's fucking blindfolded, and the brother and sister are watching this whole thing with a camera, and they go, well, fuck, I mean, we would have let them get it on and at least have one last night of passion, but might as well get her now. So they grab this lady and hook her up to the transfusion machine. And another thing I thought was really cool about this movie was the idea of the transfusion machine, and the whole idea of you have these 2 prongs that go into your neck and suck your blood out as you lay there dying, just being drained of your blood. What a horrific way to die. And again, a take on vampires, right? It's always the 2 fangs that go on the neck and you slurp the blood out, right? In this movie, no, it's 2 prongs, metal prongs that in turn suck the blood out of your jugular. I was like, that is a really cool idea in this machine, and you slowly just kind of fade away. That's like, to me, horror done perfect. Like, what a sick way to kill somebody. It's not quick. It's not painless. If anything, it's probably the scariest thing in the world as you feel weaker and weaker as you're drained of more and more. Really creative, in my opinion. Britt LMAO, I was going to do handcuffs, but I couldn't find the emoji for cups. Holy crow. I wonder where that narrative originated. Vampirism equals seduction. Like, I get it, but where did it come from? Cuffs I can do. Oh shit. All right. Mateo. It's like, oh my God, Brittany. LO, I live vicariously through the graveyard. Trust me, I get no action, no cuffs in a long time. Okay. All right. I'm a good girl now. Well, there you go. Trophy with a smiley face. LO, I'm getting older. Most of my excitement these days come from sexy movies and watching Grande's Graveyard. Well, I'm flattered to see you say. Thank you so much. Curious, Grande, did it flow well, this movie, or was it over in a good way? So this is, I think, a perfectly paced movie. Like, it's really, really well done, where this husband, he feels bad about what he's doing at first, but he wants to get it on, and he's even telling his wife. And I thought some things about this movie too were interesting, where some of the stuff his wife says to him to try to keep him in line in the marriage. There's a point where she says, I know I'm your housewife, but when we have sex, I want to be your whore. That's one of the most memorable lines of the movie, where I laughed at first. I was like, Jesus Christ, like that's a fucking line, but And in turn, when you think about it, it's like, isn't that sad that she has to resort to that? To me, right? You know your husband's cheating on you. You know he's renting a room in the Hollywood Hills cheating on you, and your sense to him is, when we have sex, I want to be treated like one of them. I thought that was pretty disturbing in and of its own right. And then once she starts going to the black room, I liked that he doesn't like a taste of his own medicine. He starts to get jealous of her, cheating on him. She's like, I'm only doing what you're doing. I'm only exploring my sexual fantasies, desires, and sensationalisms. Why are you pointing the fingers at me and you're upset with me and you want to end this marriage now that I'm getting a taste of what you're doing? And they had this big argument before the climax of the movie when they kind of get handcuffed by the brother and sister, or tied up. It's too much handcuff discussion. It got lost in the traffic here. But yeah, no, I mean, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. I thought that stuff really. I don't think so. I don't think it's in a bad way. To rate it, I would rate this at a solid 7. I think this is a damn good horror movie, man. Really, a solid 7. I'm fighting all temptation till marriage, Miss C. I'm hanging on my thread, but I'm holding on. Okay. Do what's best for you. Slasher Fred says this movie. Oh, the movie Buffy is pretty much a Valley Girl meets Dracula kind of movie. And on the TV series, they did an episode where she does take on the count. Absolutely. I love the show. Love the movie. We'll get there. The graveyard's spicy tonight. Yes, you open up a can of vampire worms, you're going to get some sexuality discussion. There was a death in The Abominable Dr. Fives where they drained the blood out of a person. Vincent Price lives. Love Vincent Price, and that's a great movie. That's one of Papa Grande's favorite movies is The Abominable Dr. Fives. I know that. But yeah, no, I mean, just that idea. I always remember, too, in Halloween 2, when Michael Myers, he takes that nurse and he kind of straps her to the table and she slowly bleeds out. Like that always I thought was really disturbing scene as well. And to the point where Jimmy slips on the blood and gets a concussion. I always thought that was a really cool visual, that Crayola crayon red gore. Yo, Gron, have you seen Transfiguration from 2017? It's a masterpiece. I have not. Deals with similar stuff as Martin. Okay, and I love Martin, which I have reviewed on this channel. Also tell me you've done an episode on Martin. I have. I did The Crazies and Martin. It's an older episode, but I reviewed both of those back to back on like a Romero episode where I did 2 George Romero movies. That is absolutely, you can find that review for sure. Spicy Graveyard indeed, Nate, but it's only natural, I guess, when we're talking about vampires. I think I'm going to watch this. Yeah, I don't think it'll fail to entertain. It's pretty disturbing on all levels, and I think this is just a movie that, I don't know, for whatever reason, never seemed to find an audience. Now, how I found it was it's a Section 3 nasty, and I'm always interested to hear or see video nasty movies, and I'm always up for seeing something different, like a different take on the vampire genre, right? I always like when the people do different things with the genre, whether it be a movie like Martin, which is definitely, it is along those lines. It has the different take, right? It's not your classical vampirism tale, but I think in a good way, the Black Room adds some exploitation and sexual psychology in there to kind of make this thing stand out. A cut or a bite, or if you will, a fang above the rest. So I really do like The Black Room from 1982. Highly recommend that one. As we move on to A Horse of a Totally Different Color, a movie that I credit for absolutely making me the horror fan that I am today. I don't think there is a horror movie that I saw as a child that would predate this. I think this might have been the very first horror movie I ever watched. And it's a weird one, I know. You wouldn't think of all the movies to have the first movie that you ever watched. I mean, I know Friday the 13th was one of the first that caught my eye, and that was one of the ones that got me into becoming a diehard fan. But as far as ones I saw first, I don't think anything predates this movie or this poster for me, because it's just iconic to me. I remember watching this with my grandfather, actually. So that's how old, you could tell how young I was, because sadly he passed when I was a really young kid. But Of course, it's from the year 1992. Let me see. Oh, okay. There we go. Think we're good. There it is. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie. I got a brief plot synopsis for you. Flighty teenage girl Buffy Summers learns that she's her generation's destined battler of vampires. Yes, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I've got the rock in the shirt here, the tie-dye tee of Buffy, of course. And I've always been a big Buffy the Vampire fan, Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. Of course, I loved the show with Sarah Michelle Gellar. I'm a big Sarah Michelle Gellar fan. And I know this movie gets a bad rap. I know a lot of people say this movie's terrible. This movie's over cheesy. This movie's over the top. A lot of people don't like Kristy Swanson as the title character. I'm going to have to disagree with all of that. I don't see how you can hate this movie. I really don't. I think this is, in my opinion, a movie that it has so much charm and heart that it's really a hard movie to hate. In my humble opinion, it's such a fun flick, and it perfectly captures the late 80s that bled over into the early 90s. It has the early 90s fashion sense, tone, look, and feel, but it feels like it dragged a little bit of the 1980s into the 90s with it. And that kind of gives the movie its charm that, to me, carries the whole thing. It starts and ends with Kristy Swanson, who I think was just absolutely beautiful. I even think she's more beautiful than Sarah Michelle Gellar. I would say she's the most beautiful of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer actresses. She does a good job, in my opinion, in the title role. I think that she's a lot of fun. She's good at delivering the dialogue and kind of giving the, over-the-top dialogue. Like all I want to do is graduate from high school, go to Europe, marry Kristen Slater, and die. And I know that all may not sound too great to a scone head like you, but I think it's swell. Like, I think she's really funny. And I'm never going to go to El Salvador anyway. Like, I'm never even going to go to Spain. Like, all the dialogue she gives, I think, is just so friggin' funny. Like, I like how she portrays this character. Well, Buffy, we're thinking of putting a flag that says, don't tread on the earth. Well, I mean, like, you kind of have to tread on the earth, don't you? Oh, yeah. Like, I love that. I love the way she delivers that line. I think she's money in this. She's beautiful. She's good at delivering this dialogue. Kicks ass when she has to, is vulnerable when she has to, is not too overpowered, if you will. I think she just played it right. And of course, you can't mention this movie or talk about this movie without this guy, the late Luke Perry, who, I mean, last week, Mateo and I, coincidentally, we discussed his last film, which was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, his last film role and performance until his untimely death at the age of 52 due to a few strokes that he had, which is just sad and too soon. But I mean, this was one of the first movies I ever remember seeing Luke Perry in. I thought Luke Perry did an awesome job in this. Of course, at the time, he was the biggest thing in the world because a little show in 1990 came out called 90210, Beverly Hills 90210, where he played Dylan McKay, who was this like bad boy, had the leather jacket. He was like the Beverly Hills 90210 version of the Fonz. It was like the Fonz dragged into the 1990s. And that was the character he played. And he fell in love with Sharon Doherty's character, another person that's gone too soon. May she rest in peace. But in here, I like that they had him play against type, right? Here, he is the love interest, Pike, which Pike's not a name, it's a fish. You have him playing the Pike character, and he's a dork. He's a loser. He's this guy that goes to the movies and shushes people to be quiet. He's a guy that goes to a bar and orders a hot dog from Ricky Lake. I just love his character and the whole playing against type, right? Here we knew him as this kind of bad boy love interest on the 90210 show. Here he's playing this kind of dork that goes from zero to hero, that kind of wins the most beautiful girl in the school by the end of the movie and has the slow dance. I love that. I think he does a really good job of this movie. I really like Luke Perry. Of course, you also have some really interesting supporting roles, some roles that and actors that you would never expect to be in a movie like this. Like, of course, you have Donald Sutherland is in this movie randomly as Merrick, who I always felt Donald Sutherland felt a little out of place in this movie. Like, just my humble opinion. I mean, I know from what the writer said, and we'll get into the writer, of course, Joss Whedon, who became really a big deal after this, right? I mean, we can go down that road right now if we want to. Of course, he was a writer only for many years exclusively. And of course, he hated this movie. He hated Alien Resurrection, which he also had a hand in writing. Not until Firefly and Serenity, and then even more so down the road when he's directing the Avengers films. Josh Whedon really became a big name, and this was one of his first pictures as a writer. And of course, I know he said he had a lot of issues, and mainly those said issues were not just with the writer, with the directors, but with Donald Sutherland. He said he hated working with Donald Sutherland because Donald Sutherland didn't like the script and would rewrite his own dialogue, and he in turn called Donald Sutherland a dick and proceeded to eventually leave the set. I don't know how far into production that they were, but eventually Josh Whedon picked up and left because he didn't like the direction they were going in. He didn't like the tone of the picture, and he didn't even like working with the actors. So Josh Whedon's not a fan of this movie. Of course, Josh Whedon in turn creates the show and gave it more of the darker gothic tone that the 97 show would have, of course. And then, of course, a new lead in Sarah Michelle Gellar, who is the best Buffy. There is no doubt she plays the character the best. But again, you guys have Paul Rubens is in this as one of the vampire henchmen, which I always thought was weird to see Paul Rubens in a role like this. He's almost unrecognizable, and this is just a few years after Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I mean, it's weird to see Paul Rubens in this role. And, of course, Rutger Hauer is the lead vampire, the lead antagonist. And as he would go on years and years later to work with Dario Argento, and he plays Van Helsing in Argento's Dracula 3D to a lesser extent. But as cool as Rutger Hauer here, he always just brings great energy to his movies and roles, and I love him in this as the villain. I think he did a good job. You have supporting roles from all sorts of freaking people, too. You have Hilary Swank as one of Buffy's best friends, who's this kind of stuck-up, snobby, nasty lady. You have Ben Affleck randomly in this movie. It's like a one-scene appearance from Ben Affleck, but he's also in the film. And I was like, this is crazy, to have Ben Affleck in this movie. Really weird role to see him in. And it's like a one-scene role where he's just dribbling the basketball, and he gives it to Sasha Jensen's character, who Sasha Jensen, of course, you'll remember him from Dazed and Confused, which came out the previous year or the following year. And then, of course, you'll also remember him from Halloween 4, the return of Michael Myers. He's Brady, if you will. I've frozen again here, goddammit. I don't know why. This goddamn computer tonight is just not running the fastest. We totally have frozen. What the fuck? Again with this nonsense, man. Let me see. Are we? Oh, I'm not frozen. Okay, I don't think I am. I'm frozen on my end, but I can't see anything on your end. So I'm looking at a blank screen, but I'm not frozen. So to continue with what I was saying, I mean, a lot of good supporting roles in this movie, and I think they all do a good job. Now, of course, the elephant in the room here, if this screen will ever load for me, which I don't think it's going to be, is the director, Franz Rubel. Oh, Jesus Christ. I wish I could have the name in front of me, but of course my computer's decided to fucking freeze on me when I was going to look up the director's name. It's something along those lines. Of course, she was, of course, a director that was a script supervisor for a very long time. So hence it made sense for her to kind of come in and work with someone who was writing on one of their first projects, in a Josh Whedon. And she really kind of changed the tone of this movie to what it is. I know that Josh Whedon hated her for that. I know that he was not a fan of how this movie turned out product-wise, but this is a situation where I kind of appreciate what she did and the world that she kind of brought to make this movie take place in. And what do I mean by that? Now, the show has its own identity. The show has its own feel, vibe, etc. It just works. The show works for its own sake. Whereas this really, in some ways, at times, feels like it's a John Hughes movie. And I mean that in the best of ways. That's why I really always liked Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, because it's just very different feeling than the show itself. Oh boy, I think we've totally crashed now. All because I try to open up a tab. Holy cow, guys. I think we're frozen for good here. Yeah, we're frozen. I'm going to just restart this chat, guys, because my completely crashed. I will be right back if you can hear me. What the fuck? Are we back? Technical difficulties? What the fuck? gonna have to check my phone. I don't know. I mean, oh shit, am I back? I think I'm back. What? This is really frozen on my end. I'm gonna check my phone. Okay, you guys are telling me I'm good. Okay, hello. I am completely still frozen on my end, but I have a screen back. Well, if that's not a good way to lose your audience, I don't know what the fuck is. I have no goddamn idea why that happened. I clicked on a tab and the computer just decided to shit its fucking brains and just shit all over my carpet. Bunch of shit that I'm gonna have to clean up later. But let me figure this out here, guys. I'm sorry. Jesus Christ, this is a pain in the fucking asshole. As I was fucking saying, I really like the world that the director created here, and I'm not going to bother to click a tab to check the fucking person's name because for whatever reason it just decided to crash my whole fucking stream. I liked the way that she approached this movie because sometimes with movies like this, you'll have the writer and director and they're on different opposites sides of the spectrum here, right? Or different pages. And that was the case here. They were definitely not on the same page, right? Josh wanted something more like the show that would ultimately become his baby. And the director wanted something more along the lines of like a family-friendly teeny bopper John Hughes movie. And I like that about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I think it's awesome. I really think that's a good thing that the director kind of changed the movie to have its own identity, its own feel. I know there are diehard Buffy fans that don't like this movie, don't like Kristy Swanson, and don't like the direction or anything like that. I will give you the direction in spots is not the greatest, right? This is a woman that this is the only thing she ever made. I think she made this and one other movie in like the late 1980s. That's the only other thing that this director did. So it's unfortunate, I mean, that she didn't go on to do much else, but I do think she was a better idea, a better, I guess, script supervisor than she was a filmmaker. Like, there's not a lot of exceptional directed scenes in this movie. This is not a movie you watch for like, oh my God, the direction. It's not really that type of movie. This is more in along the lanes of just a good feeling, turn your brain off, popcorn movie. And I mean that in the best of ways. That's why I really like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. It's just so much fun from all the way around. And some of it is just so quotable. Like there's the great scene where Paul Rubens, he kind of confronts Luke Perry. Goes, hey kid, what are you gonna do? You're gonna put your money where your mouth is? And Luke Perry, I'm missing a beat. He goes, are you addressing I? I love that. I think that's one of my favorite lines in this whole movie. I just thought it was just like effortlessly delivered. Of course, we have Buffy. She's training with Donald Sutherland's character. He's throwing knives at her and things, and she doesn't want to accept her fate. She doesn't want to be this vampire hunter. She wants to just be a teenage girl. She wants to just be a kid. And that's why I always liked in this movie is the conflict of the main character, whereas on option A, I have everything at my disposal. I'm beautiful. I'm this popular cheerleader. I'm dating the captain of the basketball team. I am going places. I have the keen fashion sense. She has everything. Where, of course, Donald Sutherland enters her life and kind of fucks all that shit up. You're really a vampire slayer. You have these dreams. They're not just dreams. They're visions of who you are. You're the slayer. You're the chosen one for this generation. And she doesn't want to accept that life because it in turn is going to leave everything in her life that's perfect behind. She's not going to have time to go to cheerleading practice. She's not going to have time to date the captain of the basketball team. She's not going to have time for the keen fashion sense or go to the movies or be lazy or whatever it is Buffy wants to do. She's given this role and she kind of resists. And I liked that kind of conflict for our lead character here, as this is something that I'm chosen for. I'm the chosen one. I'm the generation's vampire slayer, if you will, but she doesn't want to be that. And I liked that because that's something that, of course, not those two things, but I think that's something that a lot of teenagers go through, not just teenage girls, but teenage guys as well, is the conflict of when you're growing up, the choices, right? What choices do I take in life, right? Everyone says I'm perfect at this, but I really want to do that. And I think that it kind of, in a way, like bleeds into real life. I think it bleeds into like stuff that I've went through, stuff that maybe you guys have gone through, and so on and so forth. So I always liked that in this movie. I thought that was an interesting kind of theme here. And it's just damn fun. Like there's some fun scenes where she'll go into a dark alley. Oh, I'm so helpless and alone. And then the vampire attacks her. She just wrecks his life. I thought that was great. There's Paul Rubens getting stabbed and you got me. Like that was great. I mean, it's a good sense of humor. And again, a lot of good supporting roles. Stephen Root is the principal. Of course, you may remember him from Office Space and Dodgeball. Love Stephen Root. It was always good to see him in movies. I don't know. I love that too. And I think it all is fun as it kind of culminates to this big formal senior dance where Buffy shows up looking beautiful in this white dress. And of course she has her stakes in her like satchel, I guess, or purse. And then she kind of meets up with Luke Perry. They have their intimate moment. And then the vampires come. We want Buffy. We want the Vampire Slayer. As we have this kind of fun finale where Buffy the Vampire Slayer has to kick some vampire candy ass all over her high school. A lot of fun. To me, it's just this is a really good, fun movie. I know a lot of people that they bash it. They say that it should have been darker. And I know that the differences between the final version that we get and the Joss Whedon script are substantial. Like Joss Whedon, for example, had the Donald Sutherland character at one point killing himself. That was going to be in the script. Like they're going to have him take his own life to avoid becoming a vampire. And Donald Sutherland was like, that is horrible. And the director said the same thing. That's not the type of tone. We don't want anyone committing, taking their own life in this movie. We don't want to do that. So that what happened was they argued with the writer on that, and then they got it changed. They changed it to, he just gets killed. Like he's not going to take. And then, of course, the school dance was supposed to burn down. There was a lot of things that Joss Whedon wanted, and they didn't ultimately come to fruition until, of course, 5 years later when the show debuts. But it's funny, too. I will say this. Even though it was 5 years later where the show debuts and set the world on fire, and it is one of my favorite shows. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the show, the series. This was a different era, even though it was just 5 years later, even though it was within the same decade, 92 to 97. The genre had changed completely in those 5 years. And when you get to the show, this movie feels ancient to the show. Like, this feels like it was made in the early 80s once you watch the show. Like, it just completely makes it feel like it was made in a parallel universe in a different time period, if you will. It just feels so different. But that's what I like about it. I like it's like an option for, hey, I want something a little less dark, a little less serious, a little bit more, family friendly. You look no further than Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And then, of course, that classic tagline, she knows a sucker when she sees one. Awesome. Of course, I forgot to mention David Arquette is also one of the side players in this movie, as he's Luke Perry's buddy that gets turned into a vampire fairly early on. And, hey, what are you standing on? I'm floating. I love that, man. Really fun stuff. I like this movie a lot. I think Buffy the Vampire Slayer from 92 is good fun. It's a really just a fun, harmless popcorn movie, and that's why I like it. Let's see where the hell we were, because wow, we have a ton of comments that we're gonna have to discuss here. I think we were here. Brittany Ward saying classic. Absolutely, I agree. Seen it all. Dope shirt. Sup? What's going on? Seen it all. Huge fan of the show back in the day, as was I. I'm a big fan. Dude, OG is the shit. Watch that on TV all the time. R.I.P. Rutger Hauer legend. Yeah, no, it's one thing I did notice watching this movie back is how many people are gone. Luke Perry's gone. Rutger Hauer's gone. Paul Rubens is gone. Like, so many of these people are gone. It's like, and this movie's really not that old to say. I mean, it's kind of really sad when you think about it. Buffy goes through a change in the movie because first she begins as a spoiled cheerleader. Exactly. That's her character arc, right? At first she's this, I want to go shopping. By the end, I'm going to kick ass, take names, and ride off into the sunset on the motorcycle with Pike. Dude, she is unbelievably beautiful. I mean, at this time, I don't know if you can name me 5 women that were more beautiful than her. I mean, yits galore too. Holy yits, man. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. And I know she loved playing this role. Like, this was her favorite role. She still does conventions to this day. I'd love to meet her. She only seems to do them down south, though. So maybe one of these days we will go see and meet Kristy Swanson at a con, because I've heard she's the nicest person, and she still looks great. Used to have a huge crush on Sarah Michelle back in the day, probably first crush. Dude, I mean, I don't know if you were there for that show where we did the Ultimate Scream Queen quiz, or it was like a March Madness type of show where we did, I think it was the Halloween episode where we did like this horror icon or that horror icon. It was all women. And I had Sarah Michelle Gellar go over. She was the winner. And yeah, no, she just had everything. Sarah Michelle Gellar was a badass actress. She played the character perfectly. She was funny. Again, charming, beautiful. She has every single thing that you would want from a scream queen, quote unquote. It's funny you say this movie introduced you to horror. I think the show was the first show. Yeah, no, and it helped you get into horror. That's really cool. Yeah, it had to have been one of the first ones I can remember watching. I watched it with my grandfather, and I would have been probably the ripe old age of 3. I think I would have been in that ballpark of like 3 years old. It would have been like the year 2000 when I watched this on TV with him. I think it was on MTV of all things. I remember watching this movie being like, holy shit. Like, I was so into it. To this day, I kind of have a soft spot in my heart for it. Need to finish the show and watch the movie. I love the show as well. SMG is still gorgeous, though. I like them both. I like them both in the role, too. I think that's what people like. A lot of people shit on Kristy Swanson, say she didn't fit in this role. I disagree. I thought she did such a good job for what this movie's asking her to do. I don't see how you could say she did an awful job. Now, if you're saying, okay, it's Sarah Michelle Gellar or Kristy Swanson, yeah, you have to go Sarah. I mean, Sarah Michelle Gellar was born to play Buffy Summers. I mean, it's just the perfect casting. It really is. But if you're asking me, Grande, which one's easier on the eyes? No doubt it's Kristy's. I mean, holy shit. I honestly, in an alternate world, Ginge, in an alternate world, I would have been all for this being a trilogy. Because the movie that you get here before credits is 80 minutes long. This is a really short film, is Buffy the Vampire Slayer from 92. 80 minutes before credits. That's wild. I mean, I think had this done really good, had this been a big hit in the theater, you may have had a trilogy on your hands here. And then who knows if the show ever happens? Who knows if they ever move on from Kristy Swanson as the character, right? So in an alternate world, if you have 2 other movies with Kristy Swanson, who knows if the show ever comes to be? Who knows what happens? So in a world of that what if, I don't want to think what if, because as much as I would have liked to see a little bit more Kristy Swanson, I wouldn't trade the Sarah Michelle Gellar years for anything. So there is that kind of side of the coin too. I think that For what it's worth, though, this you could have had more of this. Now, it was a modest hit. It was a budget of like $7.5 million, grossed a little bit over 16 million. So again, usually the goal is your money times two. It just got over that. So I don't know if it most likely was a break even situation. And if it made a profit, it made a very, very minor profit, and to the point where they kind of just shelved it. And okay, we're not doing any sequels to this. We can eventually license it out to be the TV show that it would become, which was a much bigger success, which is probably the better way to go about it, right? It could have been a film series, but I think it works as a TV show a lot better. This movie also is the young David Arquette. That's right. That's the one I forgot. And don't forget the great Rutger Hauer and Pee-wee and Hilary Swank. Dude, it has a crazy cast. Ben Affleck's in there. Seth Green, who would go on to be on the show, has like a 1 second role where you see him for a blip second in this movie. If you watch the movie and you're looking closely, you can see Seth Green, but it's for 1 second. So it's cool that he would go on to be in the show. Also kind of curious, is The Velvet Vampire and My Best Friend's a Vampire any good? Keep hearing about the second one. The first one, I have the corner. I've never seen The Velvet Vampire, but My Best Friend's a Vampire is a really fun. Another one that just defines the 1980s. Like, I love My Best Friend's a Vampire. I take Sarah Michelle Gellar over to Kristy Swanson, but I take the movie over the series. Really? Okay, that is a really interesting take. The first one, I think most people will be with you. The second one, I've heard, you usually hear the opposite. The people hate the movie, which is, it's a shame because I don't think this movie warrants hate. I don't see hating this movie. I really don't. It's a harmless, entertaining time. That's really what it is. Like, even if you are like the biggest Josh Whedon fan and like, oh, they butchered his script, it's like, this is too much fun to bury to me. I remember when this movie came out, but I don't remember anything about the movie, and I never got into the show, but I have always heard the show was better than the movie. That's same here. That's basically the general consensus. But hey, Mateo is one of the first I've heard say that he likes the movie better, and that's awesome. I like the movie a lot too. This movie came out the same year as one of the most funniest comedies of all time, Sister Act, both having a song by C+C Music Factory. That's right. Sister Act, another super classic. Oh, Argento's Dracula was the worst film I've seen from Argento. I would have to agree with that. It's his worst. It's absolutely his worst. That or Giallo, one or the other. I mean, take your pick. Jinja, I don't know. It's a fair fight with Phantom of the Opera. Bottom line, both garbage. Okay. Oh, my God. Yes, Phantom of the Opera is really fucking bad, too. Even though I could take Julian Sands and Agia over anybody in fucking Dracula. Well, granted, Agia's in Dracula 3D as well, so too much spicy vampire talk for Granny's computer. I guess so. My computer just shit itself. It hasn't done that in a long time, like to that degree, where I was still on, too. It was weird. The movie also came out the same year as Batman Returns. It also has the late Paul Reubens. May he rest in pepperonis. We got Will in the house. Grande, my good brother. Just getting here. What's up, Graveyard fam? Will, hope all is well with you, buddy. People saying hi, and people saying this is probably around the time where I crashed. I'm not frozen. He gone. They got me. Yeah, the vampires came to get my ass. The Lost Boys came for me. They got him. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, Grande, you're good now. Spoke too soon as I typed the screen went black. Internet vampires in his computer. Texas, what's up, buddy? Yeah, no, I don't know what the fuck happened. And now he's gone now. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened to my computer. The scene where David Arquette's character is floating outside the window is pretty much a reference to Salem's Lot. Yes, that's the 90s take on Salem's Lot, which I liked. I thought that was kind of funny. This is what happened when you say that Kristy Swanson is hotter than Sarah Michelle Gellar. Oh, is that what I get? Is that what I think that in every other facet, Sarah Michelle Gellar is better. But if you're asking me looks-wise, yeah, I'm taking Kristy Swanson, man. Holy cow. I want to suck your... Oh, wait, never mind. I don't really know you well enough. Oh, fair enough, Rusty. Rusty is in the house. What's going on, Rusty? Oh, no, come back. This is the only excitement I get all week. Well, I'm sorry that it crapped out on me. I come in, and he comes back. I'm the man. Yeah, exactly. Rusty Saby from the Lost Boys. As soon as I said you're good, everything went black. I'm glad you fixed the issue. I don't know what the issue was. I literally clicked on a tab that I had open here, and it just shit everything. So I don't know if we're going to open any more tabs tonight on Grande's Graveyard. It fits real well as a prequel to the series. I like it a lot. Yeah, even though now I know people would argue with you with that, and they'd say, well, in the film, she's a senior, whereas in the show, she starts off as like I think she starts off as a sophomore on the show, so people would say, "Oh, that's fine." Like the loyalists of the show generally hate this movie. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people that hate it. I don't really get why. I think it's too harmless to hate. I don't think you can compare the two. The series has a lot more time to explore the lore, expand the characters, etc. That's a great point. Yes, it definitely gives its. There's more room to breathe, right? And we'll talk about this in a few weeks when we do Battle Royale versus Squid Game and which is better. I mean, Squid Game, there's no doubt, had a lot more time to breathe. It had a lot more time to develop its characters, whereas Battle Royale had 2 hours to develop 42 people. So sometimes a series, a TV series, has a lot more space and breathing room in order to develop not just its main characters, but also its side characters. And I think that's a fair point, right? Like you're in this for Buffy. You're in this for Luke Perry. I honestly think Donald Sutherland is terrible. Like overall, I think he's pretty bad in the movie. Like he just doesn't fit at all. I think you could have got somebody more exciting than him. He just looks like he's asleep throughout the whole movie. Exactly. It's a fun popcorn movie. Yeah, that's why I really like it, man. In the series, they stayed very faithful to this film in the flashbacks. That's right. Actually, that's a good fucking point. They did. Sarah redid a lot of the exact same scenes, so I like that nod to the film. Yeah, even though Josh isn't a fan of the movie, that you're absolutely right. I've honestly kind of forgot about that. In the movie Bring It On, they make a reference to the TV series. One of the black cheerleaders says, "Let's beat these Buffies down." That's amazing. I've not seen Bring It On since my sister loved that movie. That was a movie that we had on VHS tape, and my sister loved Bring It On. She was, oh my God. And then they made about 100 sequels to fucking Bring It. It was Bring It On Again, Bring It On All or Nothing, Bring It On, You're a Fucking Asshole, Bring It On to Your Fucking Mother. Like, it was a bunch of, like, how many Bring It Ons? How many times you bring it on, motherfucker? It's a movie about fucking blonde cheerleaders. How many sequels can you make? Oh, we'll make one with Hayden Panettiere. Oh, we'll make one with fucking Ashley Benson. We'll make one with your fucking Papaw. It's just a bunch of nonsense. It was that and Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, Breakfast Club feel with vampires. And yes, that's how I see this movie. It's very John Hughes, dragged out of the 80s into the early 90s with the vampire elements and then the clever Josh Whedon script. And it's clearly Josh's voice. Like, I know that he disowns the movie or whatever. That's fine. But it is clearly his voice. And I think it was a precursor to where the genre was going. I don't think you have Kevin Williamson without Josh Whedon's script here. I really don't. And I know people probably bang their heads against the wall hearing me say that, but I think that's the truth. It has that meta feel. It has that self-aware notion. It's in on the joke with itself. And I think that's why Buffy the Vampire Slayer, this movie at least, has such a charming element to it. It kind of gravitates you towards it. Donald Sutherland's character in the movie is pretty much an Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, which... I mean, I don't know. I just don't really like his character in this. And I love the actor. I love him in Animal House. I love him in Ordinary People. The Invasion of the Body Snatchers, one of the best actors ever. A true Hollywood pro. But I don't know. In this movie, I think he's grossly either miscast or just didn't like the script, which has actually come out. And even Josh Whedon said he was a fucking dick. So that's unfortunate if that is the case. The theme song by the Divinals is one of my favorite songs of theirs. I Ain't Gonna Eat Out My Heart. Yeah, and they also do the song, I think, in Elm Street 4, With My Back to the Wall. And that's one of my favorite songs in Nightmare on Elm Street 4. The best of the sequels, in my opinion. Love that shirt. Yeah, no, this shirt's awesome. This is like, I was like, this is too awesome to pass up on this shirt. It has a little bit of everybody. It's got Paul Rubens, Luke Perry, Donald Sutherland at the bottom, Arquette, the title, the tagline. Just the different tie-dye. I was like, let me get a pink tie-dye Buffy shirt. Why the fuck not? You only live once. You know what I mean? Just a little different. Did you know that on this TV series, Xander was originally going to be written as a gay character? I do know that. That's true. And had you fast forwarded probably a decade or so, he most likely would have been. I guess it was just the late 90s. They weren't ready for it yet. I don't know. I have no idea. You guys talking to Russ? David Arquette is the cutie bomb in this film for sure. David Arquette, okay, you said it twice. It will be in my mailbox tomorrow. A hard Blu-ray set to get a hold of. Cast Me Out Wazoo. Okay. I don't know. I must have lost this. I'm sorry. I think Kristy Swanson, The Deadly Friend. Oh my God, that's right. Kristy Swanson is also in Wes Craven's Deadly Friend, and she's in like Flowers in the Attic. Kristy Swanson had an interesting career before this. After this, her career hit a wall. I mean, I like The Chase with Charlie Sheen. It's a fun fact. Initially the Christian Slater line was supposed to be Charlie Sheen, and they changed it because I thought it worked funnier with saying Christian Slater, but she goes on to work Charlie Sheen just a few years after this, I believe 94 with The Chase, which is a good movie. But her career kind of plummeted, right? I mean, she's a bit role in Dude, Where's My Car? It's a bit role in Big Daddy. It's a bit role here, a bit role there. She never really reached the I'm a star again. And I don't know why that is. I mean, you can't say that she didn't have screen presence. She was beautiful. I think she was a good enough actress. I love Flowers in the Attic. I think she's great in that. Like to go toe to toe with Louise Fletcher, an Academy Award winner like that, and to really hold your own and be the lead of these kids and kind of the heart of that film. I think Kristy Swanson's a really good actress. I don't know why her career didn't take off. She's one of those ones that I kind of wonder, like, would she have been an all-time talent? No, I don't think she's that type of talent. But do I think she deserved a better career than she got? Absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt she probably deserved a little bit better than she got. On the TV series, the character Cordelia also being a spoiler TV. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go. Joe Mama's in the house. What makes a good vampire movie? Question mark. What's the standard at this point? I feel like I haven't seen one in a long time. All the good ones are older. I think the beauty of this genre too, where we're of course, this is only the third vampire special I have done, but the beauty of it is it could be so many different things, and it's been done so much. But again, you have to keep an old thing fresh, right? You want to keep, like for example, the movie I covered in the beginning. This is a fresh take on an old idea and concept, and you bring it into the time period where it is. We're late 1970s, early 1980s. We got that exploitative factor. Instead of the sexuality between just strangers, it's the sexuality between a brother and sister, between a married couple, between strangers from there. I like when you add upon different things and aspects like that. And I think that the vampire genre, it's just always something you can reinvent. That's why I think, and what I think makes a good vampire movie. If it becomes same old, it can grow stale because, okay, we've seen it before. But it's a situation where if you're just taking that old school elements and adding new elements to it and making your own new pretty picture, I think that's awesome. If you need some new vampire movies to recommend, please, I will send you a list of like 5 that if you want to watch. I had that color hyper shirt in the 90s. AJ Zitro's in the house. What's going on, AJ? Hope all is well with you. Also, the TV series, the character Tucker Wells, who was the villain in the prom episode, was originally supposed to return in the 6th season as part of the nerdy trio, but was replaced by his brother. I can see you're a fan of the show. Mr. Dan in Horror checks in. Mr. Dan, hope all is well with you. I starred in Bring It On to Your Mother. Actually, it was a huge thing in super hard production. Bring it on, all or your mother. No, I mean, I just don't understand how many, like, does someone know? Can someone give me the number of how many fucking Bring It On movies there's been? Like, it is actually a fucking disgrace. Like, what the fuck? Buffy will always be a delicious piece of rhubarb pie from the 90s served with a side of vanilla ice cream. Absolutely, Merns. I couldn't have said it better myself. LMAO, bring it to your mother. It's the truth. How many fucking Bring It Ons do they make? Holy shit. It's like, Bring It On, and we'll do a new 2 blonde women. Oh, Bring It On, Bring It On yourself. But God damn it, what the fuck? I just don't understand. Was there really that much of a demand for direct-to-video cheerleader feud movies? I mean, fuck. Just Deadly firmed in 2 days, the remastered edition. Okay. Kirby's 100. Hello. Do you think vampires have bad breath? I think they do. Blood doesn't smell the best. Kirby's 100. That is a first-time name in the Grande's Graveyard chat. I don't know. I would say they avoid bad breath because they want to avoid garlic breath, because garlic will kill the vampires and they will keep the vampires away. So it is what it is. Season a shark film. I've been desperate. Okay. I hated Bring It On. My sister, I have a soft spot for the first movie because A, I think Eliza Dushku is fucking hot, and B, my sister fucking loved that movie. So it's a hard one to hate. 7 films, not quite Amityville level. Let's talk about this. Fair enough. So Buffy, again, I would come in the same exact rating. I'm going a solid 7 out of 10. Fun movie, good heart, good characters. I love the lead love story between Kristy Swanson and Luke Perry. I thought they had really nice chemistry, and Kristy Swanson had nothing but nice things to say about Luke Perry. Just a good-hearted movie to me. Nothing hard, nothing. It's very G-rated, family-friendly, popcorn horror. And I'm totally fine with that. I think it's a great movie for what it is and trying to be. It's not trying to do too much. So in my opinion, that's why I enjoy Buffy the Vampire Slayer so much. Of course, though, that leads us to the main event of this show tonight. As I froze it again. Did I really freeze again? Are you fucking kidding me? What the fuck? Am I frozen, guys? I'm going to have to check the phone again. I don't know. It looks like I froze. No, okay, I'm fine again now. I don't know what the fuck happened. I'm not clicking any more tabs at all. I'm never going to do it again. Let's see. Little Vampire. Did anyone bring up Little Vampire with the Jerry Maguire kid? Someone did in the chat. On Instagram and on fucking YouTube, someone brought up that movie. So very nostalgic. I want to see Nosferatu. Bring It On is amazing. According to Siri, there was a total of only six Bring It On movies. Wow. They got to catch Star Wars. First one wasn't terrible, but they milked it. Oh, well, of course they did. Yeah, that's what they did. 7, there was a Rusty's up to his Bring It On. Rusty's like, no, you dumb bastards. There's 7 Bring It On movies. You're missing You're missing Bring It On your chest. Little Vampire is better than the new Nosferatu. Oh, shit. All right. Shots are fired. Mersey, the producer, moving things along. Yeah, I'm sorry. I tend to go on too long sometimes. But this fucking delay is throwing me for sure. You're not frozen. Looks fine here. It's the curse of talking about Robert. I'll have to triple IPA gluten-free egger. Oh, shit. I'm just reporting what Siri told me when I asked her. Missy's like, I'm just reporting what I've been told. The last Bring It On movie was a slasher movie? Shut the hell up. Really? Well, if anyone's going to know that, it's Slasher Fred. So there you go. There's a Bring It On slasher movie, buddy. The Burning, My Bloody Valentine, never got sequels. April Fool's Day never got sequel. Bring It On, 7 fucking movies, 6 sequels. Can't make it up. But that, of course, will be the weirdest of all segues and transitions into the main event of the evening. The movie that just came out a couple of months ago, of course, on Christmas Day of 2024. Generally have a brief plot synopsis. I'm not going to click on the fucking link to do it because I'm afraid that my computer's going to shoot itself. This is from the year 2024. Nosferatu. Of course, the remake, reimagining, revisioning, whatever the fuck you want to call it, of Robert Eggers, who I think is just a great filmmaker. I mean, I, of course, am a big fan of The Witch and The Lighthouse. We did a Versus episode a while back on those 2 movies taking each other on. I'm just a big, big fan of his work as a filmmaker and writer. I think he's just great. I think he's one of the best in the game right now. I really like his stuff. The news of this broke and this was being worked on as far back as 2015. Even before The Lighthouse came out. I mean, they were trying to get him to make this movie, and he wanted to make this movie for the longest time. All the stars didn't really align until, of course, the early 2020s. And, of course, the movie drops here in 2024. It became a mega hit. It's grossed over $150 million against a budget of $50 million. Easily the biggest budget he ever had to date. Of course, The Lighthouse and The Witch, respectively, very minor productions when it comes to budget. The Northman was a bigger budget than that, but of course that movie bombed financially, unfortunately. And then this was his rebound. Let's return to the genre. Let's go back to what got me to the dance. And man, I think this is absolutely great. When you're talking in terms of Nosferatu movies, I like all 3 of the main Nosferatu movies, right? The 1922, of course, unbelievable. It's still 100 years later, and we're still talking about the 1922 Nosferatu movie. That's its legacy, right? 100 plus years, and we still remember Max Schreck's performance. We still remember the symphony. We still remember the, movie that doesn't even have dialogue, hearable dialogue. Of course, the Werner Herzog version with Isabella Gianni, one of the all-time greatest actresses, and of course Klaus Kinski, which everyone kind of refers to it as the Klaus Kinski version. Another great movie. I mean, it's fantastic. It does have some pacing issues here and there, but overall, I think the Klaus Kinski version is just incredible as well. And then we get here where, I mean, I'm sorry if I'm unpopular and people are going to hate this. People might turn this off. People might send me a dislike and mean messages. I don't know. But of all the Nosferatu adaptations, this is absolutely my favorite one. I think this is a fucking masterpiece. I really do. And the first time we saw it opening weekend, packed ass fucking Dolby, super excited. I walked in there. Usually, you know me, I walk in there with my fucking expectations lower than the floor. That's me. I'm just not usually one to get hyped or buy into the fucking, the rah-rah. it was a big movie feel when we sat down in the theater. And man, I just was blown away by every minute of this. I thought this was absolutely great. And I've seen it 2 times since, once in the theater, once here at home. And it gets better every time that I have watched this movie. I think this is the definitive version of this story. I really do. And I know a lot of people that didn't like it. They said it was too slow. They didn't like the look of, Nosferatu himself, the more the Vlad the Impaler look with the mustache. And, of course, Bill Skarsgård, who everyone knows is my buddy. People had a lot of problems and a lot of complaints. And this did not seemingly, to me, unless I'm looking in the wrong places, I saw more negative reviews for this movie than positive. I thought this was going to be overwhelmingly the best horror movie in years. I didn't really see that. I didn't really see the overwhelming praise for this. I saw mostly problems. And I remember when we were leaving the theater opening night, I saw most people looking kind of pissed, looking kind of like, that's it. That was the reaction that I got from visibly looking at people as we were leaving the screen. I mean, that's what I noticed. And I saw a lot of people that are disappointed with it. And that's the case. Totally understandable. I just thought this worked for me, man. I mean, this worked for me on every fucking level. The movie opens up with the beautiful music box score, and we hear our lead protagonist, Ellen Hutter, played by Lily Rose Depp, who, man, holy shit, gives the performance of this movie. And, man, I know that she's in that horrible show on HBO, The Idol, with The Weeknd. I'm sure she fired her agent. I hope she fired her agent for putting her on that nonsense and maybe hired somebody new to get her this part because, man, she's electric in this movie and gives a performance that only I think someone of youth can give. And it's no disrespect to anyone who's older. Isabella Gianni, who was in the Werner Herzog version, she said it best when she did Possession. There are certain roles, there are certain times, there are certain performances that can only happen in one place and one time of your career. And when she played the character she plays in Possession, she says, I could only have done that in my youth. I had to check myself into a fucking psychiatrist. I had to go get mental health help because it just drove me crazy to play that role. I lost a little bit of myself. And dare I say, Lily Rose Depp has that same type of energy and aura in this particular performance to me. She loses a bit of herself. There's a lot of convulsions. There's a lot of crying. There's a lot of insanity. And I thought she just played a perfect performance in this, perfect part. The old movie opens, please hear my call. She's crying in the middle of the night because she wants help. She's seeking help. And of course, what if it wasn't God that answered our prayers, but the devil, but the demon, but Nosferatu. And Nosferatu, Bill Skarsgård, comes to her in the night and has sex with her, and then we fast forward a few years later, and it's the tale that we all have come to know. Now, a lot of people, again, a big knock on this movie, it's just the same story with a different paint job. I understand why you're saying that, but I don't see it as a negative. The movie is a remake. It's not like this is Bumblefuck, and this is, okay, we're not doing a new take on this story. It's like, they're calling it Nosferatu. Did you expect him to just completely change everything with the narrative structure that the Nosferatu story tells? I don't understand that gripe. That's a big gripe people had. But it is what it is. Of course, Nicholas Hoult plays the Jonathan Harker role. He is, obviously has to travel to Castle Orlok. Lily Rose Depp doesn't want him to go. And there's an amazing scene towards the beginning of the film where she is crying while she's not looking at him. She's just deadpan looking at the wall. And she's crying, and she tells him about a dream that she has. And she says, I've had a dream that I get married, and we're there, and we're happy. But then when I turn to you, you become death. And when I turn around, everyone in the audience, they've become death. And I don't know why, but I'm so happy, and I'm laughing, and I'm smiling. And all I could see is death and blood and contagion. I mean, that scene alone, I'm like, holy shit. And of course, it does go to foreshadow the rest of the picture, which is something that is not in the other versions. So there you go. If you want something different, that whole dream explanation and how it pays off is not in any other Nosferatu version that I fucking know of. Just saying. The best part of this movie for me, it's weird to say, but the best part of this movie is Jonathan Harker going to the castle. I know it's not Jonathan Harker technically, but that's the character he's playing, right? The Nicholas Hoult role. I think that's the best part of this movie is him traveling to the castle. And people go, the best part of the movie is the first half hour. Yeah, honestly, yes. I think it's that well done. I've seen it done in how many different adaptations of not just Nosferatu, but of Dracula alone, right? I mean, Jess Franco did it great. Fred Williams, he's going to the fucking castle. And of course, Keanu Reeves traveling to the castle in Dracula 92. We've seen so many interesting iterations of Jonathan Harker traveling to the castle. I don't think it's ever been done better than it's been done here. And it's been done a lot, right? So to take something that's been done to death and to give it this fresh spin and a creepy aura that I dare say that no other Dracula movie, Nosferatu movie, what have you, has captured, to me is something to run home about. It really is. He goes to this village where all these people are laughing at him. They don't want to give him a bed for the night to stay. And there's a very interesting, in my opinion, Eggers-like scene where we see a naked woman riding on a horse with her hair covering her yits. They go over to a grave and they impale this previously dead vampire. Nicholas Hoult runs out there. Hey, stop, in the name of God, stop. Everything kind of fades to black. He wakes up with mud on his shoes. And it's like, holy shit, this really did happen. But did they knock him out? What exactly went on here? And it's never answered. He just kind of moves on. Okay. He loses his horse, of course. And then a carriage kind of comes up to him. And in the Dolby Theater, man, this theater was shaking as the carriage approaches Nicholas Hoult's character to pick him up as the door kind of opens itself. And then he's off to Castle Orlok. I mean, to me, that's the best thing in this movie. It's so perfectly done. It's like, I think it should be studied. That's how good that shit is. It really is great. He gets to Castle Orlok. We do get to my biggest complaint of this movie, which you may have seen coming if you have 2 eyes, 4 eyes, hell, even if you had 1 eye, like Captain Hook himself. Well, no, Captain Hook had more than 1 eye. I don't know. Fucking Shmee. I don't know. Bill Skarsgård, the elephant in the room. I don't like his performance. I don't like him as an actor. You're not the Crow. You're not Brandon Lee. You're not Tim Curry. You're not Pennywise, the Dancing Clown. You're not it. And you're certainly not Max Schreck or Klaus Kinski. I don't like the actor. I don't. I never will. I know it's a very controversial take. People really like the guy. People see him as a modern day, one of the great character actors. You can take him and shove him up your fucking asses. I don't think he's good. I think his fucking voice in this was over the top in a bad degree. It seemed like more people had a problem with the Vlad the Impaler stash than the actual performance itself, where I don't really care for the fucking... I don't care for it. I just don't. You look like you need a drink. I'm like, motherfucker, this guy just sounds like a stuffy Russian motherfucker. I don't know. I don't like him. I'll never like Bill Skarsgård. And I truly, and people won't agree or believe this, I went in wanting to be proven wrong. I went in being like, he's going to impress me this time. I'm going to see what everyone else sees in Bill Skarsgård. It'll never happen. If it didn't happen here in a Rob Eggers movie that I fucking loved every other element other than him, it's never going to happen. It's just not. It's really, really not. It's not going to happen. With that being said, that's probably my only complaint with the movie. Of course, they're signing over the house to one another. He thinks he's signing over the house, but he finds the locket and it makes him remember Lily Rose Depp's character. And in a way, he kind of tricks him into signing over his wife. And the movie kind of plays out from there where, of course, Nosferatu gets on the boat, the last voyage of the Demeter. He travels to, the town where she's at. And then, of course, all hell kind of breaks loose. She's going through all these kind of convulsions. We do meet, of course, Aaron Taylor Johnson's character and his wife, played by Emma Corrin. Those two I thought did a good job. I know a lot of people hated Aaron Taylor Johnson's performance. And hey, what a better time for this to come out for him than right after Craven, right? Craven almost kills his career. And then this movie pretty much saves it within days of each other. So good for him. I think he did a good job in the role, even though I know people didn't like him. I really liked that. I thought they did a good job, those particular actors. And of course, they had their 2 little daughters that, Mommy, please, there's a monster in our bedroom. No, it's all fine. It's all fine. You know, they're telling the kids that it's fine, but there's a monster in our bedroom. Please don't make us go to bed in there. Don't let us get eaten by the monster. I loved that. I loved that foreshadowing again. And then we're introduced to, of course, the actor from The Witch that plays the lead doctor in this movie. He's just awesome in this. His name is escaping my mind. If someone wants to comment, then please do. Of course, he's in here. And then, of course, he suggests, hey, in order to try to help Ellen from her, convulsions and being possessed, why don't we suggest this doctor? And the doctor he suggests is the legendary Willem Dafoe. And Dafoe is electric in this movie. He added such a good energy to it towards the middle half of the film, where I'm sure some people were probably mentally getting a little bit bored, saying the pacing was slowing down. To me, once Dafoe enters this thing, man, it's just off to the races to the end. He just adds a certain type of element and energy that only he can bring. And to me, Willem Dafoe is a once-in-a-lifetime actor. He really is. He's that damn good. I think he's so fucking good in this movie. He's a blast as the Van Helsing-esque character, even though that's not what he's called. But Willem Dafoe is great in this. As they kind of come together, they realize that Nosferatu has brought the plague to this town. And I think what was cool is it's not devoid of humor. If you look closely, when everyone's dying of the plague, you'll have our lead characters walking and then a slow dolly shot as they're walking through. And if you look in the background, there'll be people dead in all these over-the-top positions. Like there's one guy that looks like he's drunk in the corner. There'll be one guy's legs are up in the air. All these people dying of the plague. I thought that was funny. I was like, damn, that is funny. If you kind of play highlights or categories in the background, or Where's Waldo, if you will, you could see all these people dead in these unprecarious positions. I thought that was funny as hell. I was like, man, I like that it's not completely void of humor. I thought that was funny. And then we ultimately kind of move towards, the third act of this movie as Lily Rose Depp kind of confronts her husband when Nicholas Hoult returns and is cured of the plague by these nuns who pray for him and heal him and save him from dying of the plague. She says to him, listen, I have a dark past. And she tells him everything, that Nosferatu came to her in the night. Nosferatu says that she is not for humankind, that she is only for he. And it's in a way this gothic, tragic love story of, her character, Lily Rose Depp's character, this sad, scared, timid girl who called out into the night for God, instead in return got a demon, got a vampire. And of course, she does truly love Nicholas Holt's character, but at the end of the day, Nosferatu will do whatever it takes to kill her if she does not accept him. And of course, he'll also take the whole town with him with the plague. Really cool kind of, and there's some intense acting scenes in this where Lily Rose Depp just absolutely fucking loses it. She gets possessed at one point and she goes, "You could never please me like he could." And then Nicholas Holt's like, "Yeah," and she starts convulsing like crazy. And then Nicholas Hoult just starts to have sex with her and completely, just a wild scene. Only Eggers could do a scene like that where it's just 0 to 60 in a minute. I was like, that is a really powerful scene. One of my favorite scenes in this movie. And it all kind of culminates to Nosferatu making a statement, right? He says, hey, you have 3 nights. If you don't submit to me by night number 3, I kill your friends, I kill your fiance, I kill your town, and I'll kill you. I'll kill everybody. And she says, okay, give me the 3 nights. She gives the 3 nights, and every night things escalate, right? Night 1, more and more people die of the plague. Night 2, she has sex with her husband. And of course, he in retaliation decides, I'm going to go kill Aaron Taylor Johnson and his family, right? He kills the 2 little girls in the bed and throw them on the ground. It's fucking wild. Then kills Emma Corrin's character. And then we get the funeral of Aaron Taylor Johnson, burying his whole family. And just ultimately you see the shell of a broken man, right? Could you imagine burying your wife and 2 kids? And the emotion that emotes from him, I thought was just fantastic. He's crying. He's like, he blames it all on Lily Rose Depp's character. He's blaming her for being crazy. And that's a big theme in this movie too, which a lot of people have mentioned, right? Is the Lily Rose Depp character, and everyone is kind of putting her down and putting her dreams off as fantasies. And there's a point where Emma Corrin, she kind of goes at her and says, hey, why do you insist on these fable stories? Why do you insist on all this nonsense? And Lily Rose Depp has the great line, because I'm right. And she truly does believe in what's going on because she knows it and she's lived it. And everyone else sounds preposterous to them. But Lily Rose Depp is because I'm right. I'm going to fucking do this because I'm right. She knows she has to be the one to stop Nosferatu, to save the town, to save the man who she truly does love in the Nicholas Hoult character. That's what I really liked about it. That's what I really thought was nice. It does have that nice kind of aura to it. And then, of course, as this thing kind of wraps up, she submits herself to him as Dafoe And of course Nicholas Hoult and I'm sorry, the actor from The Witch, whose name's escaping me at the minute. They all go to this mausoleum. They're burning the stake, and all these rats are around. Defoe is laughing over the top of the fire as she submits to Nosferatu as he feeds on her. He feeds on her heart, which I thought was interesting. It's not a neck bite. In this movie, it's I suck your blood from the heart. I thought that was good. Again, add a little heart to the movie. Absolutely tremendous as she kind of submits. They come in, and Willem Dafoe says the curse has been broken. You know, Nosferatu is defeated. And you see that Lily Rose Depp let herself die in order to save the one person she truly did love. And then, of course, all foreshadows the dream, right? I had this dream where we were getting married, we were happy, and all death was around us. The death being the plague of the town, and of course, the happiness being that she saved her husband from this, monster. I think this is a great movie. I really do. I liked everything about it. The filmmaking, the technical, cinematography, the look. Eggers is always going to bring it in the technical aspect, especially if you give him a $50 million budget. That ain't too shabby either. I like all the actors except Skarsgård. I really do. I think everybody gives a good performance. Dare I say great. Lily Rose Depp is great and should have got an Oscar nomination, in my opinion. I think she's that good. I love this. I thought Nosferatu 2024 is and will ever be my definitive Nosferatu. I think it's the best one. I really do. But let's go back to comments. Let's see what y'all have to say. I'm sure that I've raised a little bit of controversy, and that's the way I like it. Let's see. I think we were... I'm not sure where the hell we were. I think we were here. I shared this with you already. I really like and respect Eggers as a director. However, I would love to see him out of his comfort zone. Said Nosferatu was awesome. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I know what you mean. I know, because, okay, The Witch is a period piece. The Lighthouse is like this psychological horror movie of these two men, and what enchantment did they find in the light? That's my favorite of the Eggers movies is The Lighthouse. I still think that's I think that's an all-time classic movie for me. But I understand what you mean. It would be nice to see him make something modern day, but at the same time, stick to whatever he's passionate about, he can do. He's earned that. So I totally get what you mean, though. I would like, out of curiosity, I'd love to see him do it too, because could he do it? That's the big question, I guess, as we are fans of him. I think the original movie was inspired by the Black Plague, which is horrible even during the Dark Ages, of course. In the 1830s, estate agent Thomas Hunter travels to Transylvania for a fateful meeting with Count Frederick and Anna Harding, plagued by horrific visions and an increasing sense that's far beyond. Awesome. AJ Zetro, thank you, man. Mersey said he jerked it 3 times to Eggers Nosferatu tonight. What a freak. Did he really? Phantom Analogs, a.k.a. Jeff, is in the house. It's the vampire lore, her control. Mersey had Robert Eggers spit in his mouth. Jesus Christ. Let's see. If you ever see the music video for Queens Under Pressure, it also includes a clip from Nosferatu. That's right. So, no Scooby-Doo douchebag. He's not as bad here as he is as to me, he is fucking atrocious as Pennywise, the dancing clown, a.k.a. I'm a Scooby-Doo douchebag. Hey, Georgie, you want to let us sample? That's the way in my top 5 least favorite performances of all time. He's not that bad here, but he's the worst thing. I mean, if you had got somebody worth the shit to play that role, this would be one of the best fucking vampire movies of all time. It really would to me. I don't know. Listen, I for what it's worth, I always think for myself. I'm not really one to follow the noise, follow whatever the fuck. I beat to a different drum. That's just one actor. No matter all the hype and all the love, I don't see it. And if I don't see it, I'm going to tell you I don't see it. And if I think it's shitty, which I do, I'm going to tell you firsthand. I know it's unpopular, but it is what it is. Eggers movies usually don't have great theater reactions. I've noticed seeing The Witch with a bunch of people was probably one of the most annoying experiences ever. Great movie, but the crowd sucked. I've seen, other than The Northman, I've seen all of his movies in the theater, and I would agree with that. Everyone looked confused when we walked out of the Lighthouse. I was a kid on Christmas. I was so excited to think about what I had just seen, to go back and watch it with subtitles, because let's face it, that movie is a little hard to understand at times. God bless subtitles for that particular movie. The Witch, I walked out, it was like, that's why I love the genre, like that. Those are 3 really, really good reactions coming from me, who, again, I'm not usually the kindness. Everyone says I'm very harsh. Grotty, remember we had a conversation when I said I didn't think I would like it because I don't like Eggers. Surprisingly, I liked it for once. His movie wasn't too old-fashioned for me. That's the ultimate testament. Missy hates The Witch, hates The Lighthouse, liked the Nosferatu. So there you go. He's grown in her eyes. Dude, Nicholas Hoult deserves an Oscar straight up. He was scene stealer, in my opinion. Dude, he did such a good job at selling the fear with his eyes. There's so many scenes where Count Orlok is offering him a drink or he cuts his knife, and the tension at that table is also by Nicholas Holt's fear, the fear in his eyes, the absolute horror in his eyes that you see is just tremendous. I think it's really good. Is it true Nosferatu dies at the end, mid-bust? Pretty cool, LOL. How everyone should go out. Yeah, everyone should go out doing what they love to do. It basically ends where it's the sunrise comes up and she kind of grabs him. That's similar to the 79 version, right? He burns it alive at the end in the bed. And even Anya Taylor-Johnson, like fucking guy from Kick-Ass, acting his ass off. Oh man, Aaron Taylor-Johnson. I'm sorry, Anya Taylor-Johnson. I thought he did a great job. So many, dude. Everyone I've told that I liked his performance, and they're like, dude, he's the worst thing in that movie. I'm like, really? Like, I thought he was good. I don't know. He's tackling Lycan's next werewolf and werewolf horror movie set in the 13th century England, set for Xmas 2026. Well, Merry Christmas, because I'll be there. The remake from 79 is a very cult movie. Yeah, no, the Klaus Kinski version is just as popular. I mean, everyone loves the Klaus Kinski version, the Werner Herzog version. It's great. It really is a great movie. The Bruce Willis cameo is fucking insane. A butler, no one saw it coming. Oh, boy. Not change it, but make it entertaining, my friend. Tell the same story, but make it feel new to me. Make it feel new to me and not have me feel like I snorted 20 Ambien and drank a bottle of Jim Beam. Damn. All right. Fair enough. I mean, I that's totally fair. I could totally see not being a fan of this movie in the sense of like making entertain. You don't think it was entertaining enough. It seems like it had pacing issues for you. That's totally, I mean, some movies have pacing issues. I would even say the first time I saw it, I thought it had slight pacing issues. Upon rewatch, those went away. They really did. I kind of was like, you know what? It was just the hype of seeing it for the first time where I don't really feel the length as much upon a rewatch, right? But I understand that. If it puts you to sleep and you needed 20 Ambien and Jim Beam, I understand. The dude who played a kick-ass was super good in it. I liked him too. I thought ATJ was good. Last shot of the film is perfection, honestly. Yes, no, that's his dead body, like, and all the flowers, the dead flowers that she mentions earlier on in the film on top of her naked body. Granted, I mean, Lily Rose Depp, you do see Lily Rose Depp yet in this. So for her, whoever's a fan, Grotty, you're crazy, buddy. Was that it because I buried Skarsgård? Is that why? I'm guessing that's what that comment's for. I mean, I'm honest. The guy sucks. The guy is absolutely fucking horrible actor. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says. Speaking of Animal House, did you know that Mark Metcalf played the master who was the villain on the first season of Buffy, and he does have the Count Orlok look to him. I didn't know that. That is actually really cool. And man, I don't think anybody knows more about Buffy the Vampire Slayer than Slasher Fred. Last shot was rad. I did like that Birdsey boy. Oh, he's bashing my boy Bill. I knew I couldn't get out of here without something. Oh my God, no! I'm guessing you've never seen the rant where I buried him in it. That's like one of my all-time funniest rants for sure. I just bury his life on that. Dude, pure necromantic shit. Well, yeah, that's right. After he buries his wife and daughters, he just has like necromantic relations with his wife, and he catches the plague and dies himself. That's a truly heartbreaking end to a whole character and family. What was the last shot? Nosferatu shooting Dusty Ropes. Jesus Christ. Him forgetting he's a vampire and busting a nut. Did I drink too many gluten-free IPAs tonight, or was it not a splatter film? The puking, the spewing of blood, the bites and kills. Well done, Defoe. Fucks. Willem is the fucking man. Absolutely. Defoe was the best part for me. He should have pulled that big-ass hog out and whipped. Oh, my God. What the fuck? Defoe in the film Inside had me mesmerized for the whole runtime. Defoe never gives a bad performance. The guy is just timeless. Did you know that the original movie, F.W. Murnau, the director, wanted to use the same name Dracula but couldn't get the rights? Though some American versions do use the name Dracula. That I did know. I got sued by Stoker's wife. That's the same, absolutely. Oh, yeah, that sex scene was a nice one. Okay. Alpha's in the house. What's going on, Alpha? The movie itself isn't terrible. It's actually very well made, but it's one of the worst vampire movies I've ever seen. Really? Would you care to expand on that? I don't really... The movie itself isn't terrible, so it's not terrible. It's actually very well made, but it's one of the worst vampire movies I've ever seen. You need to expand on that for me, good brother. What the heck? It's fighting itself. That's how I proposed to my wife. I'm sure it is. Crazy production, story, and drama with the original. Love that stuff. Same. I'm a fiend for that stuff. Alpha, I agree with you 100%. Okay, so two of you think it's not a terrible movie. It's well made, but it's one of the worst vampire movies you've ever seen. That is beyond a hot take for both of you, but I'm curious to hear your reasons. There was an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, which takes a place in an old movie theater. I love Are You Afraid of the Dark? That's an awesome show. Dude, give Holt an Oscar or that lead singer of My Chemical Romance, either or. I mean, Holt was great. Lily Rose Depp was the standout for me. I thought she just she lost herself in that role, man. Like I know people have made fun of the convulsions. They did the Hulk Hogan music of her doing the fucking convulsions. I don't know. I guess part of me too, I don't really like the reaction this movie got. Like a lot of people fucking shit on this movie, and I'm like, I've never wanted to shy away from shit on a movie, so I shouldn't say this, but it's the truth. I'm kind of like, what? Like, I don't know. I don't really understand why this wasn't as universally praised as I think and felt it was worthy of. That's just me, though. But again, not everything, same with stop motion was the only horror movie I liked more than this the entire year. And I don't know anyone other than like 3 people that like that. So, I mean, it is what it is. I remember that episode of Are You Afraid? That was a classic. I like the episode with the vampire in the kid's bedroom too. They had to use a silver spoon or something to ward him off. Holy shit, man. You guys are unlocking memories here. These guys talking too much. All the gold is in the comments. Oh shit. Thank you, AJ. That makes me feel great. My Chemical Romance. Dude, this is splatter film in 4K going right next to the Northman. Grande Skarsgård is amazing. You're crazy, buddy. Hey, I that's fair enough. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of him. It is what it is. I guess you could say Nosferatu came and went. Yes, he did come. Yeah, he did, Miss C. That is true. Miss C for president. Absolutely. I'm not one to vote. I don't have a side, but if Miss C ran for office, I would vote for Miss C. Miss C, you've been on fire all night. I got very little out of it. Okay. But worst vampire movie ever in the conversation of the worst vampire movies ever. That's like I can see I got very little out of it. It was a little disappointed. 5 out of 10. I can see that. But you're saying worst ever. Does that mean it's in the 1, 2, 3 out of 10 range? Is it there for you? Because that's surprising. But again, you're really not alone. If anything, I would say this movie was more disliked than liked, at least from everyone I've spoke to about it. That Are You Afraid of the Dark episode's awesome. Missy for the win. Tale of the Midnight Madness. Wow, yeah, you guys are having fun in the chat. Let's see. Mob rules don't apply to me, hence me liking controversy too. I do too. Will enjoys a nice scoop of vanilla ice cream and peach cobbler. Holy shit, you guys are going crazy. Virgie enjoys shit sandwiches with the crust cut off. Isn't Eggers doing the Labyrinth sequel? Real? I didn't hear that at all. Defoe is a hoggle set in the 11th century. He's fucking with me. I know it. Now he's doing the Wolfman next. He's going to take over all the Universal films. See, that I don't know if I want to see. To me, this is a good one-off. You did your remake. Like, move on. Do original stuff from here. Like, that's just my opinion. I'm pretty sure I read he was doing a Labyrinth flick too. Oh, man, I hope not. Leave Henson alone. I got to cover my ears and close my eyes. Some of these comments, Lord. Yeah, for real. That's Mernsey breaking point. Eggers doing Henson. Rating. To me, when I initially saw this, I gave it an 8.5. Straight out of the theater, that was my rating. It has only gone up since then. I think it's as close as you're going to get to a modern day classic vampire movie that you will ever get. It's close to. It's a 9. It's a 9 out of 10. I think this movie is really close to. If honestly, to be honest, the pacing issues have gone away. If they had somebody else playing Nosferatu, like an actor I liked, that did a really good, I mean, I think you have a perfect movie. That's if you have one problem, granted, it is the titular character and titular antagonist, but, I don't know. I think other than that, I don't see negatives. I think it's perfectly fucking made. I think the pace is great. I think every other actor in the movie is great. I love the whole, idea of that dream in the beginning and the whole Lily Rose Depp like spiel and then how that all kind of plays out and culminates later. I don't know. I thought the movie was just fantastic. I really did. I loved every minute of it. Alpha's second favorite Quentin Tarantino film is Jackie Brown. Come on, buddy. Just kidding. Oh boy. It looked good to me from the preview. Is it worth the watch? I would say absolutely it's worth the watch. I know they're coming out with the 4K, which is going to have the extended cut on it. I can't wait for that. I pre-ordered that. I will absolutely, if you're telling me there's even more of this movie I can enjoy, by all fucking means, I'm there, man. I thought this was great. Nothing about the movie says vampire movie to me. Okay, interesting take, Alpha. This is just definitely a curveball. I wouldn't shit on this movie, but I wouldn't hold it up as the greatest vampire movie ever made. Shit, there's so many more better vamp films. That's fine, I guess. I don't know where I'm coming from. I just it's a movie I walked in hyped for, and I left really over satisfied. And I think that Rob Eggers, for what it's worth, is the best horror filmmaker right now currently in the game. I really do. I believe that. I think he's that damn good. I know people don't like his films. A lot of people point to the pacing. That's fine. I really like his style. I think he did a great job. I really do. Mersey doesn't have the essence of horror alone, let alone. Oh no, the essence of horror. Alpha, you're smoking the good. Oh no. So Mersey's really going at Alpha here. Dracula Dead and Loving It is greater than Nosferatu. Really? I mean, I like Dracula Dead and Loving It. I do. That's a fun movie to me. It's a good comedy. I think it is Mel Brooks' last movie. But yeah, no, I thought Nosferatu was fucking great. I really did. I thought this was worth all the hype and then some. I really did. I had one problem with the entire 2-hour plus movie, and it's just, even upon rewatches, I've liked it even more. So that's saying a lot. The essence. Have you seen, as we frozen another fucking time here, as maybe it'll load? I don't know. Maybe. Have you seen Rockula? I have not seen Rockula. I think you reviewed this movie too, and you said the same. You said like same story, different paint job. But I think you liked it. But I saw your written review of it, and I was like, okay. I heard Dr. Howdy smells like beer. Oh my god, you guys! No, I'm serious. I read it on Deadline. Rumor has it that he signed for the Rat. Really? Okay, I thought you were fucking with me. Awesome show as always, Gronny. Thank you so much. I definitely edit Wikipedia to be a troll, but I'm serious in here. Okay, I think the best Dracula film ever made. I didn't say it, but I heard, maybe agree. I mean, I can't argue. I think it's up. It's in my top 10 vampire films ever. It really is. It may be the definitive Dracula / Nosferatu. I thought it was that good. I really did. I'll be burying it when released. I will probably like it from what I've heard. I would love to hear your thoughts. I heard Phantom Analogs doesn't consider recycling. Subspecies is a better Dracula adaptation. Damn, I mean, Alpha is going off on this. I thought we did talk about this briefly on one of the roundtables, and you said it was fine. Like, you didn't love it. And I know Landrum loved it. Landrum defended it, and I was like, fuck yeah, because I was right with Landrum on it. But, that's fine. I mean, that's totally fine. It seems like a lot of people were disappointed with it, which is totally understandable. Nothing will ever beat Let the Right One In. I love Let the Right One In. I mean, before we go, we could talk about what is your favorite vampire movie. I guess we could end the show on that, right? We still have a bunch of people here. I recycled my Natty Daddy cans and buy Chicken Nugget TV. Acres of Movies checks in. What's going on, Stacy? I'm not backing down on what I said about Nosferatu, but I'm not sure if I would like this as much if I had seen all the other Nosferatu movies. Fair enough. Should Adam Driver be cast as vampire or Oscar Isaac? Adam Driver should retire. Adam Driver sucks. OMG, love Let Me In. Okay, so you're talking about the remake, and he's talking about Let the Right One In, which is, they're both good movies, but Let the Right One In is the best. Someone else saying The Little Vampire. Mark is in the house. Little Vampire is fucking definitely a keeper. Near Dark is the best vampire movie ever. I'm waiting for Alpha to say Martin. Alpha, where the fuck are you, man? If you can't let John Amplis down like this, I'm waiting on you. Because I know Martin's your second favorite film, which hence means it's your favorite vampire film. I know that. I know you too damn well for this. Favorite vampire movie ever, I would have to go to Lost Boys just because of nostalgia and how much I love to party. I fucking love FFC Dracula, though, too. Great picks. I mean, Lost Boys, Near Dark are right up there. From Dusk Till Dawn, greatest vampire movie ever. Love From Dusk Till Dawn. I'm shocked no one said Fright Night yet. Where's Fright Night? Because Fright Night's my favorite. That's my favorite vampire movie is Fright Night. Let the Right One In and Near Dark are my two favorites. Awesome picks. What about Joe D'Amato? Haha, like I said, it's not horrible. It just misses the point for me. I love Herzog's version. That I could see that. Okay, fair enough. But dude, you got to put over Martin right now. What the heck, man? Martin is calling you. Martin is a boy with problems. Martin has a family history. Martin sleeps with all the lights on. Happy for the return of Polar Bear Pete. Of course I am. Granted, it's going to probably be a one-year rental, but I'm very happy for Pete. From Dusk Till Dawn's amazing. Carpenter's Vampires rules. Completely with you there. Love that movie. Fright Night is goated. That's my favorite. That's my number one. Can't beat Jerry Dandridge. He's a good man in a bad time. Fright Night is also my favorite vampire movie. Awesome. Vampire's Kiss, Vampires, Near Dark, Christopher Lee, 1972, Lost Boys, Dusk, Fright Night, Let's Fuck. All right. Fright Night, but only the scenes in the remake where David Tennant is David Tennant. Fuck the Fright Night remake. That's a bunch of nonsense with Colin Farrell's dumbass. Granted, he's a good actor, but fucking horrible movie. And the fucking, that was the era where vampires had a sparkle because Edward Cullinan and fucking Jacob fucking Fatu. Holy shit. Fuck Twilight. Fuck vampires suck. Fuck the Fright Night remake. Fuck any fucking vampire that's going to glow like it's a fucking 1970s disco ball. I don't care if you're Team Edward or Team Jacob. I think you're Team Idiot. Just watched Carpenter the other day. Classic. Love John Carpenter's Vampires. Fright Night remake is greater than... Ginger, what the fuck? No. Ain't no goddamn way. What the hell are they giving you in Australia? Did fucking John Jarrett spike your punch or something? Yikes. Yeah. Ben Grimm is like Jim Ross at the fucking, it's a wrestling meeting, and I'm Jim Cornette, and then Vince Russo's putting over the idea. Ben Grimm knows that John Grande will not approve. I am curious. Explain yourself, because I'm just teasing with the John Jarrett joke, or am I? But I want to hear why the Fright Night remake is better than the original Fright Night to you. That is... I need to know the fucking answer to that. Let's Fuck is definitely one of the best vampire flicks. John Carpenter's Vampires rocks. But seriously, I want to get some Russian hats going in New Jersey. Oh my God, hell yeah. I have liked to see George Burns play a vampire. Good. What you're saying, you would have liked to see him play a vampire, and would that have been good? Possibly, I don't know. Oversized suits only. Aaron, Dust Till Dawn with Salma Hayek. Love the original Fright Night. I love that. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Salma Hayek and that sexy dance. And then the Isa Gonzalez spin when they did the series of From Dust Till Dawn. Holy shit. Bart is one of the greatest horror films ever made. Come on. Well, I'm saying it's your favorite vampire movie. It's got to be, right? We're talking favorite vampire movies. I've just wanted you got to give my props to my boy John Amplis, just because he was so nice to me too. Vampire in Brooklyn. Really? Vampire in Brooklyn's your favorite vampire movie of all time? Man, Eddie Murphy would fucking cream in his pants to hear you say that. True Blood, though, any fans? Well, I love Anna Paquin. I just never could get into True Blood. I really tried, but no. Twilight is work. Twilight fucking sucks. Fuck Twilight. When they re-released Near Dark with the Twilight cover, that's right, they did fucking do that. Oh my God, that era of everything should just burn. Oversized Russian hats. Grande's growing a mustache for. Yeah, I'm gonna grow the Grande the Impaler mustache, and I'm gonna just show up and talk like Bill Skarsgård, like a Scooby-Doo douchebag. Oh, dude, I love David Tennant. David Tennant's one of the best. He's the best Doctor Who. One of my favorite English. I mean, he's a great actor. I always remember him around that time, around the teeny bopper, and in fact, even in a movie starring Robert Pattinson. I always remember him in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire as the "Hello, Father." Then he's doing the over-the-top tongue thing. I love David Tennant. Give me Edward, LOL, some handcuffs. Now I got to go to bed. What the fuck? What the fuck? What? Jesus Christ! You want to be handcuffed by Edward? All right. Well, that is. I mean, if that's not a mic drop, I don't know what it is, Brittany Ward. I had to. Did you? Were you kidding? I'm hoping you're kidding, but I don't know. Maybe you're right. I don't know. Maybe you're serious. It's those poisonous frogs down there in Aussie that it has him spaz. Yeah, no, I know he told me once. I joked because I don't like Wolf Creek. I made fun of Wolf. I was like, oh, fuck Wolf Creek and everything about it, whatever. The classic me burying something. And then he goes, oh, I'm a big fan. Like John Jarrett is awesome. And then I was like, yeah, maybe you'll run into him in Australia at a pub. And he was like, I fucking did. I was like, it was the ultimate. Like, I just felt like I caused the joke to happen on myself. Brittany, Lord, calm down. One has David Tennant in it. I rest my case. Overruled. Objection. Oh shit. Mark is spoken. LMAO, Mernsey, I'm dying slowly over here. Renfield was sick. I didn't bother. I really didn't bother with Renfield. It just looked stupid. It looked like a comedy. Would you like to act as a vampire emerging from the coffin, or would you sleep and awaken some other way? I don't know. I don't think I'd be a good vampire at all. I don't think so. I mean, it depends. I mean, it also always depends on the vampire you're playing, but I don't think so at all. I'm way too crazy, I think. I don't know. I don't think so. And what coffin, or would you sleep and awaken some other way? I would have a coffin with a built-in mini fridge with Code Red, Blood Red, Mountain Dew. That's what I would have. It would be like a gimmicked coffin. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night is another fantastic horror movie. I've got to give that another try. I watched that once and it was just too fartsy. I was like, fuck. I tried. I went into it. I think I saw that in Queens, actually. I saw it was back to back. Yes, that's right. It was back to back art films. It was that and Darlin from Mickey Keating. And I hated both of them upon watching it. Mickey Keating's film, I went back and rewatched and really ended up liking Darlin. It was a Repulsion ripoff, really. That's what it was. But really fucking good. And then that movie, Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, I just remember I was like, this is too fucking artsy for me. But I'm open-minded, and I ended up liking Darlin down the road, so who knows? You skipped my list of vampire movies. I did. I'm sorry. Let me go back. This is gonna let me go back though. That's my only problem. I don't know. What the fuck? Missy, you have to comment it again. I don't want to fuck with this. I'm sorry. Just comment it again. I won't overlook it again. There's no reason in particular, but imagine Imogen Poots is smoking. It's got a better cast and performances, a better setting. The desert is a better setting than the fucking suburbs in Chicago, but the CGI sucks massive amounts of Nosferatu peen. Well, I'm gonna agree with you on that. Can you say, show me the money, little vampire baby? Show me the money! Jerry! My Brit getting steamed. Yeah, Brit is fucking horny tonight. I'm not licking toads. Okay. Salem's Lot is up there for me. Love that movie. Just reviewed it. Toby Hooper is legendary. Salem's Lot is goated. I love that word is fucking caught on. Dr. Howdy brings out the craziness with it. But don't you be blaming Dr. Howdy. You were talking about being handcuffed before Dr. Howdy was even here. He didn't. Don't blame him. It's Dr. Hogg. He's the one that did it. Playing a vampire is very fun. Got to go feral with it. Mark, I could see playing a vampire. I have Martin on DVD, but I have to wonder if our DVD releases in New Zealand, Australia. Oh, welcome from New Zealand, Australia. Are vastly different with some releases like the original Piranha. I know that movie has had a hell of a time on home video because it's owned by Dick Rubenstein. And right, I call him Dick. Dick Rubenstein owns the rights to that movie. I know it finally got the second sight release 4K, which I did. I don't know. I have never bought a second sight release. I'm not really, I don't know. I still have not gotten a region free player. It's just something I've always kind of avoided. But that's a movie that I know Anchor Bay released. And I think there was one other release like 2004 of that movie, but it's had a hell of a time even in the States being released. The version to get would be the second sight films if you're going to get a version. However, the uncut 2-hour, 45-minute black and white version of Martin will be available in Pittsburgh and the archives, I think, coming soon, like a few years down the road. So that'll be a reason to take a visit over to Pittsburgh to see the uncut version of Martin as George intended it. Howdy Murnsey and Phantom Enema, bad behaviors rub off. Totally not saying this because I'm doing Vampire Valentine Haunt next week. Totally not. No, totally not a shameless, cheap plug. Sorry, bad influence. Really, though. LO, don't say that. Mr. Hogg, MD. There's House MD and there's Dr. Hogg, MD. Grande, wonderful show, brother. Had so much fun. Dude, you're more than welcome as always. Rick Rubenstein is a cocksucker. Can't wait till he's 6 feet under. I won't say why. I've heard that he's not too far away from that. I'll just say that. But Dick Rubenstein's a piece of shit. I kind of agree with you. I have to rescind part of that. He did produce my all-time favorite movie. My all-time favorite movie doesn't happen without him. So I thank him for that. Near Dark number 1. Let the Right One in number 2. Lost Boys at number 3. Vampire in Brooklyn at number fucking 4. Wow. I like horror comedy vampire movies. Fair enough. All Romero's shit will have a wide release. Once he dies, yeah, you'll finally have the U.S. version of Dawn that we need. There was an obscure Japanese-American vampire film back in the early 2000s. I can't remember the name, but it was reasonable. It might be called The Twins Effect. I've never seen that. That sounds interesting, though. There's a ton of great vampire movies out there. We'll do more vampire specials. It seems to be a pretty hot topic, so we'll totally do more. Grande, let me know when you come to New Jersey. Oh, all right, I will let you know next time I'm in Jersey. No one has mentioned Morbius or its superior release re-release a month later, and that shows something about us. Mark, the funniest shit ever. We and Mark saw the Sonic movie together. So we've seen all the Sonic movies together. That's me and Mark's thing. And if you don't know who Mark is, Mark, if you see my short down by the bay, he's the guy that comes out of the water, the one-armed guy. That's Mark. This is MCMA is Mark Murphy. So we've had him on the show. We've talked about Cube and stuff. But he posted, he was like, Morbius was sick. And it was me and him in front of the Sonic 2 poster. And like someone he works with or something was like, oh my God, I heard it was terrible from everybody. Like they bought the joke. And dude, Mark is the kind of person that's going to run with that. It's always just so much funnier because it's Mark. You hear about the riots for Dr. Harg, MD. I don't know, but I'm still waiting for the series. What we do in this, absolutely with you, Ben. That's an awesome comedy. I liked Morbius. Really? Wow. That's another hot take. I don't know. But Morbius wasn't as bad as people made it out to be. Holy shit. But the next thing you're going to tell me is Morbius is greater than the Fright Night original and fucking better than the new Nosferatu. I don't know. This is definitely a chat of hot takes, if you will, and hot discussion of sexuality in the Black Room and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and of course, one Nosferatu. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoy all three of these movies. I highly recommend if you haven't seen any of them. If you have seen them, of course, and you're catching the replay, comment down below. Let me know if there's, your ratings that you want to share or your thoughts on the films if you're catching the replay. If you also want to comment and let me know for the next vampire special when that is, if you have vampire movies you'd like to request, and I'll totally take them into consideration because there's a ton of new or exciting vampire movies that we could talk about from all over the world. So I'm totally open to suggestions there. Grotty better bring a set of Master Keys if you go to Jersey. LO, I'm just saying. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be the one getting handcuffed, though. I wouldn't do that. Great show, Grotty. Great fun. Only. I didn't like the new Friday Night. I'm right there with you, Aaron. MMCMA, it's the only movie mentioned to make more billion dollars. Absolutely. Only. Big Taylor says, good day, mate. Thanks for your live feed. Aaron, thank you so much for checking into the show. But everybody, thank you so much for watching. We will catch you next week on Grande's Graveyard, where we pay homage and an actress spotlight to one Edwidge Finch. Of course, a Valentine's special on the 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, where we'll be talking about not one, not two, but three Italian giallos starring the legendary Edwidge Finch. We will catch you next time only on the Graveyard. Too sweet. Peace. Good night, everybody. Have a nice weekend. If it lets me end my own fucking show. I don't know. If my computer's fucking so frozen, it won't even let me end the fucking show. What? Ain't this pissing? It fucking pisses me off, man. It's frozen. My fucking shit's frozen. I'm probably still on the fucking air. I'm gonna check. Are we still in the air? Bueller. Yeah, we are. We're still in the fucking air. I can't end the stream. My thing froze. Oh, Jesus Christ. Should I try to end it on my phone? Maybe I can end it on my phone. Let's see. Try to just go off the air. Enter the studio. Yep. And it's two of me. End the stream. Good night, guys.